Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. We're going to start out with a story, might take up the whole show, about Hunter Biden. Yes, Hunter Biden, the youngest son of the one and only Joe Biden, is in the headlines now. And it makes it sound like this is new revelations that he's under investigation for tax evasion, money laundering, and everything in between. It's in the headlines, actually on CNN, and you can see it in multiple stories. In fact, the story we're doing is a Politico story. So I ask, is it not a little bit late? Are they not a little bit late to the game here? And why now? And I'm going to speculate on why that is. But before we go any further, I always have to mention our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU. Check out our sponsorship link no matter when or where you're watching the show. Look above the video, and of course we're on multiple platforms now, but look above the video and you'll see a description of the show. Scroll down and you'll see our sponsorship link, Big Daddy Unlimited, BDU, which is your Second Amendment headquarters. Yes, that's what I said, your Second Amendment headquarters, because not only do you get guns, ammunition, tactical gear, swag, thousands of items delivered directly to your door at factory direct pricing. Yes, I said factory direct pricing, but BDU is becoming your go-to place to defend your Second Amendment rights, which is needed now more than ever. So check that out. Also, we have a giveaway that we're in the middle of. It's about a week left in it or so, about a week and a half. We're giving away 3 Patriot Threads t-shirts. Those t-shirts you see right there from our friends Patriot Threads. If you want to check them out directly, you can order directly from them. Go to patriotthreads.org. That's patriotthreads.org. Remember this promo code, JMT, in other words, John Martin Talks, JMT, for 20% off of anything at Patriot Threads. Now, Patriot Threads is your go-to place for all kind of t-shirts that have a patriotic theme to them. They're also a great resource if you have a charity event or you're trying to raise money for a charity, like a motorcycle run or a race or something like that, or even a fishing tournament. I am by, the old salty dog here. You can go to Patriot Threads, JMT, 20% off promo code, and they will construct a shirt for you for your event, and they will handle everything from the design to the shipping to everything, and they'll even have set up for your charity of your choice to get a percentage of every t-shirt sale. So they're all encompassing. patriotthreads.org, JMT, 20% off promo code. All right, let's get on with the show. Before I get any deeper, I got to give you a quick update from yesterday's show. If you want to check our podcast out, the best way probably is go to our YouTube channel, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks. Of course, we're on places like Rumble and BitChute and many, many other places. America's Voice News, if you hadn't checked them out, AVN, America's Voice News, is a great alternative to the mainstream media. We're on there on their Facebook channel every day, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern, or as close as we can get to it. Howdy, good morning. How you guys doing? We're also streaming or restreamed live, or not live, but restreamed as a late night show on Facebook, on there. I'm getting a little tongue tied here. On America's Voice News streaming network, you can download a free app on your Android, iPhone. They're on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Channel 219, Dish Network, and the Pluto channel. And our shows are archived on that. So yesterday we talked about, I want to give you this quick update about Texas. Texas has filed suit against the 4 swing states. There's my Texas, man. It's about time somebody grew a pair, and Texas has always had it. But Texas now has a lawsuit going and against the swing states of Minnesota, Wisconsin. Let me get my, Billy Bob says, get your act together. If you hadn't met my sidekick, Billy Bob Bass, he's got a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. He says, get your act together, boy. And I will right now. So Texas has filed a suit against Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, essentially saying that they violated the U.S. Constitution with all this cheat by mail. We did an in-depth story on it yesterday, so check it out. Go to our YouTube channel, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks. But I want to update you because I was calling yesterday on our show, and perhaps your attorney generals were listening, but now 17 states total. I think there were 8 as of our show yesterday, but 17 states have now joined Texas in their fight. And the White House, President Trump, is talking about being a part of it as well. So we'll update you as that story unfolds, but it's exciting to hear, and it's hardly in the headlines. But here's something that is in the headlines. Finally, Justice Department's interest in Hunter Biden covered more than taxes. This is a Politico article. Now, before we go any further, before we get into the details of this story, as I've been saying here from the beginning of the show, my big question is why now? Because this is really, I know there's some additional news that just broke out, so there is some new news in this, but the fact that Hunter Biden has been under investigation for money laundering, the fact that the Biden crime family exists and that Joe Biden has been right in the middle of this, we've known for a long, long time. Now, there is polling out there that showed that basically half the Democrats that voted for Biden said they weren't aware of this. And about 8% of those, of that half, said that it would have changed their vote. And there's some polling that shows that at least that it was been worth 4 points to President Trump. So this is a big, big deal, the fact that it was not in the general headlines before November 3rd. Now, here at JMT, we've been telling you about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the mafia crime family that they are, for a year now, at least. And I got a video that I look back and I played this thing as early as the beginning of this year. Check it out. This is Joe Biden admitting that he covered for his son. Check it out.
Corruption. They made, I'll give you one concrete example. I was, not but it just happened to be, that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who
There you go, son of a whatever. Now, I played that video multiple times over the past year, literally a year ago. That is, just to clarify, in case you've never seen that video, that is Joe Biden in front of the Council of Foreign Relations, some kind of forum they had, admitting that when he was vice president, he was sent to Kiev to negotiate a $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion loan guarantee to Ukraine. Now, keep in mind, President Trump got impeached over Ukraine, and Joe Biden admitted more in that video right there than even President Trump was accused of, which we know was a big bunch of malarkey. But Joe Biden, in front of the Council of Foreign Relations, talked about how he held up the money. Yeah, he held up, quid pro Joe, held up the money until they fired the prosecutor. Now, who was this prosecutor prosecuting? Who was he investigating? He was investigating Burisma, this gas conglomerate over in the Ukraine that is totally corrupt, that guess who was on their board? Hunter Biden. So he was investigating, this prosecutor was investigating Hunter Biden. And Joe Biden, who is trying to become president of the United States, who was running for election, this past year, was right in the middle of it. And even beyond that, so was Barack Obama. Because if you go back and look at that video, Joe says, hey, if you don't think I have the authority to hold this money back, call President Obama. He'll tell you. So all of that was bigger by far than Donald Trump was even accused of. And the mainstream media completely and intentionally ignored this. And now, and I don't know if we'll get banned for even talking about this, but YouTube and Facebook, all due deference to algorithm, are banning, they say, any talk of election fraud. Well, this whole thing is fraud. I mean, everything about the Bidens is corrupt and fraud. It is a family affair. So I go back to what I said kind of at the top of the show. There is polling that says that Democrats, like 45%, almost half the Democrats that voted for Joe Biden, said they had never heard about the corruption of his son, let alone the Biden crime family. Never heard about it. And they also said in that same poll, about 8% said that they would not have voted for Joe Biden had they known about the story. And researchers have stated that that would have been, if those 8% had held true and not voted for Joe Biden, that would have been worth about 4 points across the board for Donald Trump. Well, in Georgia right now, Donald Trump is what? I think he's only trailing by like 11,000 votes. Now, I realize those are cheap by mail votes, so don't misunderstand me. But if you buy the storyline, he's only trailing by 11,000 votes. What would 4 points do for him in Georgia? He would have won. He would be the president-elect right now if I believe this story, if you believe the polling, would have come out. Now, why did it not come out? It didn't come out because you couldn't find it in the New York Times. You couldn't find it in the Washington Post. I'm shocked to a certain extent, and I'll talk about why maybe it's being done. In Politico, they never talked about this. When asked about this story, when this story ever came up, what was said by the mainstream media? That it was debunked. Debunked. That's what they kept using. They said, oh, that story has been debunked. Debunked. Nonsense. It is that Joe Biden, not him personally, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but Hunter Biden has been under investigation for over a year now. And he's also had to pay back taxes related to this business to the tune of $400,000. He's already done that. Did you hear about that? That's kind of new news that just came out. It's just crazy. So let's get into the meat of the story here. But I wanted to make the point that the fact that this is in the headlines now is as much a story as the story itself. The federal investigation into President-elect Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been more extensive than a statement from Hunter Biden indicates, according to a person with firsthand knowledge of the investigation. Well, this, as I say, is coming to you from Politico. I got to admit, it's hard for me to sit here and read this story from Politico. Now, I use Politico quite often. If you're new to the show, first of all, welcome. Howdy, how are you? Where you been? As my friend from Patriot Threads, remember our giveaway. Check it out. PatriotThreads.org, JMT, 20% discount. If you use that promo code, check it out. But our friend Craig Fernandez has always been saying the truth starts now. And so if you're wondering how I do the show, I generally pick out articles and I kind of go through them, use them as a template to tell you what's really happening and give you my opinionated fact, but a fact nonetheless. But it's hard for me to read this story because they're acting like all of this is brand new. It's only brand new to them, even though the truth is every one of the media knew about the Hunter Biden deal, have known about Biden's corruption, the Biden crime family, for decades, man. They just have overlooked it, intentionally overlooked it, I would say. On Wednesday, Hunter Biden said he had been contacted about a tax investigation out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware. Well, hallelujah, Delaware. I'm suspect of them because that's Biden's, quote, so to speak, home state. In addition to Delaware, the securities fraud unit in the Southern District of New York also scrutinized Hunter Biden's finances, according to a person with direct knowledge of the investigation. This is according to Politico. The person said that as of early last year, we're talking 2019, investigators in Delaware and Washington were probing potential money laundering and Hunter Biden's foreign ties. So the article is admitting that as early as 2019, now I've said they've known about this for decades, but as early as 2019, that Hunter Biden was being investigated. But you never heard it in the mainstream media because you talk about collusion. The true collusion is between the mainstream media and the progressive left. There is true collusion there. The rest of it about Trump has been nonsense. One of the things I heard a pundit say this the other night on Newsmax, by the way, and did you see that Newsmax actually beat Fox News in a particular rating scale? That's kind of interesting. Fox News may need to get their act together, but Newsmax, by the way, Newsmax, we're still looking to get on your show, get our show on there on your Facebook page. We contact you, said you were interested. Let's make it happen. Put a little pressure. If you have a Facebook channel, by the way, or any other network, so to speak, that you'd like to see us on, let us know. But I would also ask you to contact them and say, hey, why don't you check this guy out, John Martin Talks, because we are going to try to be everywhere we possibly can, and we appreciate your support. Not everyone, as I always say, can be a fighter, but everyone can support those in the fight. And if you watch my show any length of time or you're just new today, I think you'll agree that I am a fighter, at least a fighter with words and ideas and everything else. I'm getting a little gray-haired to be fist fighting or manning the actual ramparts. I man the political ramparts, but I'm not unwilling to man the others. I just hope we don't have to again, because that price has been paid, but it looks like we may have to pay it again. But this person said that as early as last year, investigators in Delaware and Washington were probing potential money laundering and Hunter Biden's foreign ties. Foreign ties. Why does Hunter Biden have foreign ties? I mean, is he some kind of international star here? I mean, did he go to some school of business to deal with China and the Ukraine and Russia and everywhere else that they're involved in? It's pretty obvious that the only thing that Hunter Biden has to sell is his daddy. Is there anybody, you snowflakes out there, if you have an inch of honesty in you, can you not admit that the only qualification that Hunter Biden has to sell is his daddy and the influence he may have over them? I mean, does anyone possibly deny that? Because this guy has his life is a mess. Hunter Biden's life is a hot mess, and it's typical of what a drug addict's life is. And I know that firsthand. Been there, got the t-shirt. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But the person spoke on condition of anonymity because they are not authorized to discuss the matter publicly. I love how these people come out, they're anonymous, and they're not authorized. Well, who would authorize them to leak information about the Bidens if they work on it? I thought about that, leaks, man. Every group has had to worry about leaks. President Obama had leaks, Bush leaked. Of course, Trump, they were leaking like a sieve. And of course, we found out quite a bit of that, was made up nonsense. But all of them have leaks. There's one president, one administration that I don't think had too many leaks. The Clintons. Do you remember any big leaking coming from the Clinton group? I wonder why that is. I wonder why. There's probably a reason out there somewhere that rhymes with homicide, I think. But there's a reason why the Clintons don't have a big leak problem. If you leak on them, you might start leaking yourself. In addition to the probe into Hunter Biden, federal authorities in the Western District of Pennsylvania are conducting a criminal investigation of a hospital business in which Joe Biden's brother, James, was involved. Now, let me tell you, this thing is not limited, to just Hunter Biden. The whole family, the Biden clan, man, the brothers, the uncles, probably the grandma if she was still alive, they're all part of the Biden crime family. It's like a mafia. Joe Biden reminds me of like the Teflon Don, and Gotti. He literally boasts about being in charge of all this kind of stuff, man. That meme right there says it all, man. The Biden crime family. Federal officials have asked questions about James Biden, that's Joe Biden's brother's role in a business, according to a second person with direct knowledge of that investigation, who said it remains ongoing. Now, this article gets in depth about some accusations against Mr. Biden's brother, James Biden, and all that. We're not going to get into that detail because, if you want to search that out. But what really gets me, it's a wow moment for me to be reading this article. Why now? Why now? Why didn't they put all this out before Election Day? When I say they, I mean the mainstream media. Why did they not do that? Why did people, there are even some Democrats now who are questioning Biden. They didn't question him before. So why has this ever come out? Well, I'll give you a couple of quick examples. One of them could be this little old video right here.
Need to make sure you have a president in the White House who actually sees you, who understands your needs, who understands the dignity of your work, and who has your back. A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States.
There you go, right there. That says a lot right there. A Harris administration combined with Joe Biden. Could that possibly be? Now, I don't know about all these conspiracies. I'm not talking about election fraud algorithm or YouTube or whatever, but could it, I'm just asking for a friend, could it be that the mainstream media really wants to be president is Kamala Harris? She's let it known right there. A Harris administration combined with Joe Biden. Can you imagine Mike Pence at any time saying a Pence administration along with, who's that guy? Donald Trump. We're bringing him along for the ride. Can you imagine if Pence actually said that? Not only would he be crucified in the media, but Donald Trump would probably, give him a little comeuppance right there, would you not? But I can't imagine. I could just see Pence up there. A Pence administration, oh, by the way, with my sidekick here, Donald Trump. Wow, man. Harris is like that. But am I being unfair to President Harris? I don't think so. She gave Joe a gift recently. Have you seen this? Check this meme out if we pull it up. There you go. Some of y'all might be too young to get that. She said, I got you a car. It's right out back. That's the Kennedy. That's the Kennedy limo. And I'm not making light of President Kennedy being assassinated, but she's going to put Joe in that one. Right around town in that one, Joe. Oh, man, some of this stuff you can't make up. There is no indication that Joe Biden himself is under investigation. No, I don't imagine Joe Biden is. He doesn't know anything, man. I don't know anything about any of that. And go back to his brother a minute. There in that article, there you go, Joe. Poor little old Joe, man. You know who I am. Joe don't know. I hadn't seen it yet, but I hear there's pictures of Joe wearing that boot on different legs all the time. The one with his broken ankle where he slipped playing with his dog. He probably just fell down. I think Kamala Harris, he was sniffing her and she put her foot down, but that's just me. But there's no indication that Joe Biden himself is under investigation. But the cases remain open. When Joe Biden takes office, they could complicate his presidency. Really? Complicate? Did you hear he's going to basically do a virtual inauguration if it actually happens? I don't know exactly what that'll look like. I guess they'll give him a pass on crowd size. Of course, President Trump, with Texas in the lead and my great state of Florida joining with him. If you haven't joined that Texas lawsuit, if your state hasn't joined that Texas lawsuit, there's now 18 others. Contact your state's attorney and say why. Why? Especially if Donald Trump won your state, you absolutely should contact him. Heck, I think Georgia should join the suit itself, even though it's against itself. I don't expect that to happen because there's a lot of rhinos in Georgia. We still need to come out and vote like our lives and our country depend on it, because they probably do. Georgia, you guys need to come out and vote. I don't care if you're Republicans, Democrats, whatever. You need to come out and vote. If you love the Constitution, if you love the United States of America, you need to vote for those two Republicans. Even if you don't want to, you need to vote. I don't trust any of them. Let me just let you that out. I know it's a corrupt system. We got to overwhelm the corruption. But I don't trust any of them, but I trust there's one person out there that I trust implicitly, and that is Donald J. Trump. And he said in no uncertain terms that in Georgia, you need to get out and vote for Perdue and Loeffler. That is good enough for me. I pray that it's good enough for you, you fellow Georgians out there. And get out and vote no matter what, man. Because if you don't, you're voting for the entire nation. Listen to the president, man. But it says the case remain open. They could complicate Biden's presidency. Let's hope he don't have one. And shine an unflattering light on his relatives' dealings, which often seek to capitalize on the Biden family's political connections. You think? I like how they say often. Let me back this up. Because this article is actually, whether they know it or not, admitting that they're all full of crap, which often seek to capitalize on Biden's family political connections. If they often seek to do it, then why are you just now reporting this over a month after the election? That is intentional. There's no question about it. It's not a conspiracy. It's a fact. They held this story back. Remember, all your social media. The New York Post came out with this story about Hunter Biden's laptop a couple of weeks before the election. And Facebook, Twitter, and I think YouTube as well, but I know Facebook and Twitter squelched the story. Actually, Twitter even suspended New York Post site for a while. And the New York Post is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in continuous existence newspaper and very credible in the United States of America. And Twitter squelched them for printing a story that was fact. All of this is intentional. You know, there is corruption. There is voter fraud without necessarily being cheat by mail. Because when you control things, and Facebook is being sued and everybody else right now, I don't know. We're going to let that play out a little bit before I opinionate on that. Because I believe all this corruption stuff. As far as I want to see perp walks, I want to see all that kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't think the rats like to convict the rats. And until I see them, I'm not going to believe them. So, you know, you want to hear a bunch of reports on people being investigated by the Department of Justice. You're not going to hear a lot of that from me if you're new to the show. And it's not because I'm not 100% in favor of the perp walks. I desperately want to see them. But I just don't believe it's going to happen until it happens. I've seen no evidence of that kind of stuff. But I'm off the track. Let me get back on it. You can have collusion and suppression of votes and change the outcome of an election without actually committing any fraud. Without committing any fraud at all. Because if you think about it, go back to what I said at the top of the show. To me, this is extremely significant. When you have 45% of Biden voters saying they never heard about this story at all, not at all, and 8% of those saying that if they had, it would have changed their vote. Well, that changed the outcome of the election. And who squelched the story? The major social media sites. They squelched the story. That is intentional. Just like right now, I might get in trouble for saying the word voter fraud. I'm not, so you know, algorithm and YouTube, I'm not accusing of voter fraud at the moment. I'm just simply saying that I'm reporting what you guys are doing. You're saying you're going to squelch stories that say anything about voter fraud. So, you know, people can make their own judgment about that. Hunter Biden said in a statement, I love how the Bidens always speak in statements. Now we know Joe, who can't even remember who he nominated for something, why he would make statements. But Hunter Biden don't want to take questions right now. He says, this is what Hunter said in a statement. I take this matter very seriously, but I am confident that a professional and objective review of these matters will demonstrate that I handled my affairs, I laugh at that, legally and appropriately, including with the benefit of professional tax advisors. So he handled his affairs legally and appropriately. You mean like the one you had with your dead brother's wife? That affair? Did you handle that appropriately? Or how about the stripper that you're now paying child support to? That affair? Did you handle that? Now, I'm telling you, ladies, and I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, so I want to come clean here. Generally speaking, I don't like to beat up on drug addicts. I really don't. Because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I've been clean and sober now for over 32 years. I don't say that to boast. It's a grace of God thing. It's a lot of help, a little bit of work and effort on my part, but mostly the grace of God and the help of others that I'm even sitting here right now. And I've done some things I am not proud of. And I did all the different types of things that someone who's addicted to crack cocaine, which I was, I'm just telling you, 30-some years ago, I saw the light in the jail cell. I didn't pray, Lord, get me off this stuff. When I was in jail the last time, and hopefully it is the last time, I simply said, Lord, I don't want to be the man that I am. Please, Lord, help me become a better man. Because what really terrified me, and it is not where I was, which is about as low as you can go, but what I was thinking in my mind I might be willing to do to facilitate my drug habit. It bothered me. When I was in jail the last time, you know what bothered me the most? What bothered me the most is it didn't bother me. And it was supposed to bother me. I wasn't raised that way, you know. I wasn't part of a crime family. I was part of a outstanding people. I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, baby. Giants in my family. Some of them well known, some of them not. But it bothered me that it didn't bother me. So what bothers me about this story when it comes to Hunter Biden, why it's fair game, I think, is because he don't act like he's done anything wrong. He doesn't care. He just sits back and tries to collect the money, and his dad is covering for him. Now, my dad enabled me, got me out of situations, but he never covered for me, not one time. And let me just tell you a quick story that kind of sums up the way I see this. I ran for county commissioner a few years back, and I didn't make it. I did not make it. I was mayor of my hometown, elected to city commission and mayor of my little town of Hawthorne, who knew the good and the bad and the ugly of me. But after I was 8 years clean and sober, they elected me, and I really appreciate that because they knew me, every inch of me in my little hometown. You can't keep secrets there. But I tried to run for a higher office, county commission, a couple different times actually. But the first time I ever ran, I was unsuccessful. My campaign manager, who God rest his soul right now, Louis Calavoda, he died this past year. I love that man. But he came to me one time and said he was nervous. And I asked him, I said, Louis, what's bothering? He said, well, there's a whisper campaign going on about you. You know, whisper campaign rumors and stuff. So I said, well, what are they saying? And he told me what they were saying. And we still laugh about it up till the day he died, basically. I laughed and he looked at me. I said, if that's all they're saying, I got it made, man, because the truth is a whole lot worse than that. And the thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, I came clean with I didn't have much choice in the sense that my name was on the headlines when I got arrested because of my father, who was a prominent political figure. But I never tried to hide it. I told people, yeah, I did all that, and it almost killed me. Grace of God that it didn't. And I've been very open about this. If you've watched our show in length of time, you know I've talked about it from time to time. That I try to turn my tragedy into not only helping myself, but one of the little prayers, a little shortcut prayer I do, is I say, Lord, help me so that I can help others. Because if I can help someone else not go down that path that I went to or come back from it, there's not much I wouldn't do to help that person, because a lot of people help me. So on a side note, if you want to message me personally about any of those kind of things, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. But anyway, that's why I normally wouldn't say much about Hunter, because in some ways, I'm sympathetic to him. But if they're going to act like there's nothing to see here, move along, then it is absolutely fair game. I just wanted to qualify that. I hope you I hope you understand. Back to the story. Billy Bob says, get on with it, boy. That's because he didn't know me back then. Neither Biden's transition nor George Messeris, a lawyer for Hunter, and James Biden immediately, that's Joe Biden's brother, responded to requests for comment. Well, why would they? Why in the heck would any of the Bidens respond to comment, questions? I mean, the media is responsible for this, for God's sakes. We're going to play you something that I've played before, but this is Joe Biden a few weeks before the election when he was asked, a reporter had the audacity to ask him about the FBI investigation, and look at what he did when that happened. Check it out. Let's play it. I mean, good Lord, man. And they didn't there was a debate after that with President Trump, and only President Trump really brought it up. I mean, shouldn't Joe Biden have been vetted on all of this stuff during the Democratic primary, let alone as in the presidential run? I mean, really? And the media now is going to come out with it? Why? Well, the only thing I can think of, because it sure ain't to help Donald Trump, right? So the only thing I can think of is that they want to knock Biden down. I don't like to get too conspiratorial, but remember about a month before the November 3rd election, do you remember what Nancy Pelosi did? She was trying to push forward this thing that's kind of tied into the 25th Amendment to make it easier to determine whether a president had lost their marbles or not, or was, going crazy in the office, not competent. And she even said at the time, this was very important, but got very little coverage. She being Nancy Pelosi, said at the time that this was not about Donald Trump. Well, then who the heck was it about? Could it be, I'm asking for a friend, could it be it was about Joe Biden? Could it be that the Democrats and their buddies in the media are setting up for Joe Biden, God help us, should he become president, actually being taken out, and Kamala Harris actually get her wish and become the next president? God double help us in that, man. But I think there is some actual truth to that. The Biden-Harris, back to the article, the Biden-Harris transition, which had previously denied any awareness of federal probes into Hunter Biden's business dealings, struck a defensive note in a statement, more just statements accompanying Hunter's. The office, this is what they said. So to me, when I first saw this, I was wondering, so you're telling me that the office of president-elect is lying? Well, wouldn't you expect that, since there is no office of president-elect, since the fact is that Biden is not president-elect? And if Texas and the other 18 states, and more states need to join them, actually prevail in the Supreme Court, which there's every reason to believe they have a shot at least at it, we might not ever have a president-elect Joe Biden. So the fact that they're lying doesn't surprise me. Biden's been lying all the time. Did you see, like on MSNBC the other day, that one of their pundits said the one thing they like about Joe Biden is he doesn't lie? Well, I got a meme I want to show you. Now, understand, this is not, it's a joke, okay? But it's, one reason why jokes are funny is because they actually depict reality. There's Pinocchio Joe, man. Joe Biden doesn't lie. He lied about the Ukraine. Can you imagine that Hunter Biden flew on Air Force Two with Joe Biden while he was vice president to China, struck a deal with the Chinese government over there. Basically, every business is with Chinese banking for $1.5 billion with a B dollars. And he never discussed it with Joe Biden. They never talked about that. Oh, no, all the, I guess, mafia filters or whatever. Do we really expect to believe that? And then Hunter, when he was questioned on that ABC Good Morning America, if he'd ever made a penny off of the China deal, got up and said no. But then his own attorneys had to walk that back and say that he had standing in there and that he had equity and that he would eventually make money. And in fact, now that we've seen it, the guy's been paid millions through that Chinese deal, like $3.5 million. President Trump tried to bring it up at the debate from the mayor of Moscow, ex-mayor of Moscow, ex-wife, paid Hunter Biden $3.5 million. And if you've seen her, I don't know what he did for the money, but man, would he have to be desperate. Anyway, I get, it's just so much BS, malarkey. And the media is now saying, oh, this is new. The newness is the fact that you're actually giving it any coverage at all. And I am highly suspect of the reason, because it sure is not to help the actual president of the United States, Donald Trump. God help us if Biden gets in there, man. Everything will be for sale. Everything. You remember how the Clintons, let's go back to that a minute. When Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, the Clinton Foundation was raking in, I think Russia alone gave them like $200 million. Do you know the Clinton Foundation is basically dried up now? That's why Hillary, by the way, was trying to get a cabinet post. Doesn't look like she's going to get one, but she's trying to get some so she can get paid, right? Well, you know, the Biden was going to go broke on this thing until now they got something to sell. Because Hunter can't sell himself. James Biden, who would pay that guy? He's been in he's in shady deals down here in Florida, by the way, and over in the islands and over in Iraq. James Biden is actually in shady deals in Iraq, building houses over there. You know, I think they did a comedy show based on that character. But anyway, now the Biden crime family has the office of president-elect. You don't think they're already cashing in on that? I mean, and there is no office of president-elect. It just irritates me. I'm sorry. It just infuriates me. The transition team said in a statement, President-elect Biden, always statements, written statements, never live. President-elect Biden is deeply proud of his son, who has fought through difficult challenges, including the vicious personal attacks of recent months, only to emerge stronger. What the heck do you say to that statement, man? I mean, that is just such a convoluted, ridiculous statement, only to emerge stronger. Difficult challenges, including the vicious personal attacks of recent months. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll say this to Hunter Biden if you're listening, man. I feel for you, brother. I do. Because you're in denial if you really believe, it's pretty obvious you have a drug problem. I'm just going to speak to you straight up. And you're not helping yourself, and your parents aren't helping you. Your dad ain't helping you by being in denial about it and enabling you and covering you up. If you want to get your life straight, you got to get right. You got to get right. You got to feel the weight of your own. And I'll say this to anybody. If you're suffering from a drug addiction out there, or if you're a parent or someone, a loved one, they have to feel the weight of their own life in order to rise up. You cannot come up from the bottom until you feel that bottom. I'm just telling you. So, the vicious personal attacks. Let me just tell you this, and I don't know if Hunter Biden fits this bill or not. I'm just going to speak about myself. I talked about it earlier. The things that other people did to me pale in comparison to what I did to myself. If someone had done to me what I did to myself, I'd have wanted to kill him. I'd have beat him to death, man. I mean, I did beat that person to death, dadgum near myself. Thank for the grace of God, man. I didn't mean to get too much on that, but I want you to know who I am. I want to be honest with you, my listeners, about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to have credibility with you. I think I've earned that. If you're new to the show, hang in there, because, I got a loyal group of people follow me. They chime in every day. I try to my best to get back to you. I mean, I got people from all over the world now following me, and I appreciate it more than you will ever know. So thank you. If you want to help me, go to our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. Check that out. Check out patriotthreads.org. I talked a lot about it at the show. Remember our giveaway. All of that can be found above the video, no matter where you're watching it. Look at our sponsorship link. Look at our giveaway. Look at patriotthreads.org. As I say, not everybody can be in the fight, but everybody can support a fighter. And let me just say this. Let me check my time. I'm getting pretty close on time. Let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen, since I brought all this up. One of the reasons why I do the show, and one of the reasons why I just keep going every day, it's gratitude. A lot of it is gratitude. Because I believe, you have to hear me out on this. I hadn't said this in a while, but of course, if I say it, it bears repeating. I believe I have one heck of a debt to pay, not just to my family and friends and all, but to society as a whole. Because I was a taker. I like to try to be a giver. I'm not saying I don't take from time to time now, because I'm less than perfect. But I got a debt to pay. But I don't feel burdened by that debt, because I have a higher power. I believe in God. That's the way I look at it. That gives me the opportunity to make payments on that debt on a daily basis. And I don't know that I'll ever pay it off, and maybe I don't need to pay it off. I just need to make them payments. Because once I paid it off, who knows? I may be done here. And I want to keep going, watch my grandkids grow and everything else. And I want them to inherit an America like I inherited. That's what I want them to do. I want to do like President Reagan said and pass it down the bloodstream. That's what I want to do. That's why I battle ignorance and apathy on a daily basis right here at John Martin Talks. That's what it's all about. It's part of paying off that debt. And I appreciate you for allowing me into your living rooms, your smart devices, wherever, to help make that payment. And I hope I earn your viewership. And I appreciate those that are helping me behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff more than I could ever tell them. Earlier this month, Biden pledged that his relatives would avoid conflicts of interest. My son, my family will not be involved in any business, any enterprise that is in conflict or appears to be in conflict with inappropriate distance from the president and the government. He said, wow, he's not, if true, and let me check which time, we're about out of time. If true, then it's just business as usual for the Bidens. I want to read one more thing. We might be going over time, but this next paragraph really just pisses me off. But the existence of probes involving the president-elect's son and business with ties to his brother present a new set of challenges for the incoming administration. That is complete and utter BS. It's not new challenges, they're old challenges. I had a lot more to say on this, but we'll talk about it another time. We'll keep you posted on that. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Check us out on our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks. We're on multiple platforms and growing every day, thanks to you. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation and our president. They both have earned that. But like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.